Welcome, Alexia and Saurabh at the Devil's Workshop and our beautiful studio. That's also my bedroom. Thank you for accepting my invitation. You guys know that Arthur just turned 30.
Ooh, really? Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! Happy birthday! I wasn't there last time. I wasn't there for any of yours. So, and also happy Christmas.
I'm proud from my ancestors, but that means that I should work harder.
Yeah, that's the kind of pressure we should not have.
To show to people that we didn't just give you that. We have so much more to give. And the thing is, like, it's very sad, but it's true. In the universities in Greece, we are funded only from the government. Universities in Greece are not allowed to have any companies inside, otherwise it's going to be...
You think that's a bad thing?
Yes.
Why?
Because in Greece we have no funding now.
Oh, okay.
Government can't support universities anymore. So we're having problems with experiments. We can't run experiments. But the thing is, like, the professors there are so eager to teach you. So on theoretical knowledge, I'm way above many of my colleagues. I understood that when I went to do immunology in Glasgow, I already had the basis to basic knowledge of immunology. I just could read more. And my classmates, they just learning the basic stuff that I already knew. And it's sad to see that, you know, if we had a better
infrastructure.
Yes, better infrastructure inside the government, we could do so many stuff.
Yeah, but maybe if you had a better infrastructure, you would have no time to learn, like, just more than the basics, you know. So maybe it's just a compensation.
Have you ever thought about why this is the case? Because as far as I can tell, you know, you have to confirm this, but biologically, Greek people aren't that different. So it must be some other influence that you guys have on you. That
it's like as Italy and Spain. I mean, Greece, it's better known for its corruption and the financial problems, but Italy and Spain have also the same kind
of economy. Sure. No doubt.
I think I blame the sun for that. It makes us so optimistic.
Latin countries.
Yeah, it's like we have the mentality that everything is going to magically, like, solve itself
then
somehow.
I don't know what to blame in India. I cannot blame sun, because we have in some parts a lot of sun, and some parts no sun, and like we have all the types of weather. But
I don't know. I think. I don't know.
No, but you are being too harsh. Like, you're being too harsh on Greece or on Spain.
No,
like,
because I have some friends that still carry the same mentality of older people, that, come on, things are going to solve themselves. No, they won't. If you don't change your thinking, the way of thinking, nothing is going to magically solve itself.
This I agree. Yeah. Like, what, I don't know who said it, but somebody said, like, change is the only constant.
Yeah. The thing that, exactly. I have many friends that have moved from Greece because they couldn't find jobs. And it's not like we don't want to go back. We do, but go back for what? I was searching for biologist positions in Greece just for the fun of it. Mm-hmm. The only thing you can do, it's like be in how do you call it? Like microbiology labs for like blood samples, blood tests, and teach biology.
Yeah, high school professor, and that's it.
That's the only thing that you can do.
Yeah, it lacks funding. That's what I heard. But at the same time, I don't see a lot of people from your country coming here, for example.
No, why would they?
Well, why have you? Because there are resources here you don't have the access to at home.
But the truth is, since we speak very well English, it's easier for us to move to the UK. US. In the UK, in Glasgow, I seriously didn't feel that I was away, not even for one moment. I was outside and I could constantly hear Greek around me.
Wow, really?
We have a big community. And also in America, the same.
But what do you explain that there is some kind of diaspora of Greek people in Glasgow, especially?
Not only in Glasgow, in the whole UK.
So everywhere in UK, yeah?
Yeah. A friend of mine now, she's working in Leeds, which is a very, very small town next to Manchester. She has a group of 15 people that are all Greek and they hang out. And it's just for her workplace. A friend of mine, he works in the Netherlands. The Netherlands are also very popular for Greek people. In the Netherlands, in the IBM, which is a computing company, he told me something like 30% of people are from Greece.
Wow. That's a lot. Which means that in some level, your education has to be... It cannot be that bad.
It's not.
Well,
it's like Poles in Chicago, like there.
Yeah, but you're saying that there's no funding in it, then I don't understand where it is a problem. Because it seems to me, I mean, I'm not trying to pull a controversy on you, it's just I don't understand why then you find it to be a problem that private companies aren't invested in your education.
They're not allowed.
Yeah, I know, but I don't see why you see this as a problem if the education as a result is so good that Europe...
Because that makes us get out of the country.
They don't have to get out of Greece if they have the resources there.
It's kind of sad that you're good at
it's like someone is training us inside Greece and then we like the little birds when they are inside the nest and then they're just pushing us out and we start to have to fly, figure it out by ourselves. It's horrible.
Yeah, because then nothing's happening really in Greece besides education and
music. There's a lot of that there.
Yeah. Oh, if you like Greek music, there's a place every second Tuesday. There is a Greek-Turkey musical event in Strasbourg.
Whoa!
Ooh, I
Where is
know
it?
that too.
Café Man, it's called. Well, we can go the second Tuesday of this month.
Awesome! I would love to.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Well, it's not that I actually know much about what you would call Greek music, because what I would call, I don't know how. Yeah, I didn't mean it when I said the musical scene there. I didn't mean it the traditional way. It's just you guys consume it, and there's actual festivities and there's organization behind it, which is metal, for example, flourishes there still, like in the.
I'm sorry, I don't know, but
no, but almost everybody knows there to dance, like on the folk music in Greece, like Dimitra. Like the last time it was in the get together in IGBMC, it was Greek get together.
Yes.
And they played Greek songs and things like this. And in IGBMC, there are a few Greek people, and they started dancing together, and it was really nice.
Yeah.
I blame the sun also. It seems like, but in all honesty, it seems like it is a part of it. Because if you think about Brazil, Venezuela, or you think about the southern of Europe, it's pretty much the same thing. It's for some reason those people dance, those people enjoy life better, and maybe it's because of the optimism.
The thing is, people think that we don't work hard, and this is a huge mistake. Actually, when I came here to France, my first communication it was with a person from the HR. I wanted some papers, and I called her at 11:30. And she told me, "Oh, I can't now. I'm on a lunch break." I'm like, "What is a lunch break? How can you have a lunch? We don't have lunch breaks."
We don't either. That's the one thing I had to get used to.
My mom was going to work from 7 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon, and she was working the whole time. Yeah. That's it. No.
I can relate to it. Yeah. Being an Indian, I can totally relate to it. We have to work pretty hard,
But the thing is, this, people think that just because after works we have a good weather, so we have the opportunity to go outside, have coffee or have a beer with our friends. That means that, come on, these people don't work.
Well, maybe you have to work harder, because of your country's situation. Maybe that's something, if you...
Also, the fact that you are outside from it makes me think that this might be absolutely true in your case. And as a result, you might see this more often than it happens. I don't know anything about that, but it seems plausible to me that maybe those people who make the stereotype, you don't see them ever, because you're just not in those kind of circles.
No. I see them. They're the people when you're going to a restaurant to eat. Mm-hmm. After they don't bring you the receipt. It means if they don't bring you the receipt, they just bring you, the piece of paper when they have taken the order and they put the sum. Uh-huh. That's not the receipt. Which means that if you don't ask for the receipt, they're not going to put it through the system.
Okay.
So.
Wow. Okay.
The whole tax from this, it vanishes.
Well, it ends up in their pocket. Yeah,
it doesn't vanish.
It vanishes from the system.
Goes somewhere.
It vanishes from the system. Yes. So.
Well, it depends on the circles. I mean, here, it's true that lunch breaks are a thing, and breaks in general. Like,
Jesus Christ.
We have breaks. I think in France, it's legally you have 2 minutes of break. Like the minimum you can have when you're working, it's 2 minutes of break for each hour you worked. So
I understand the concept. After 10 years, I still can't get used to it.
Yeah, well, when I was working in bars, you would work like 8 hours or 10 hours straight. There was no break, no nothing. It just depends on. But it's a minority of cases. In most cases, like now when I work in the opera, it's like at noon we have like 2 hours, and I'm like, okay, 1 hour, 15 minutes. Okay, my sandwich is gone, and okay, I have 1 hour and 45 minutes. What the fuck am I gonna do? Like take a nap or something? I would prefer,
IGBMC, some people really take 2 hour lunch break.
I know.
Yeah, I cannot understand. I take more than 30 minutes and I start feeling guilty. I'm like, okay.
It's not about feeling guilty. It's like if I had the choice, I would finish my day earlier and just work like 8 or.
We don't normally finish our days early. Yes. Like nowadays, I'm still trying to finish it in between 6 or 7, and this I'm more or less successful for my PhD. I was in the lab till 10, 11, and I was coming to lab every day at 9, and I remember there were months where I was not even free for a single weekend.
Yeah, it's the same as me these days. I work like often 15 hours a day, but then if you have an opportunity to finish the job earlier, I would just go for it, not having to wait like 1 hour and 45 minutes. Yeah. It's I never had that. Just even 1 hour. People having they have these restaurant checks. Yeah. From the company, so they can go outside and eat. And I was like, I work 8 or 9 hours, and then I'm done. It's just.
So what do you do with the rest of the time? You can take a nap, maybe,
Yeah, I take a nap, or I bring a guitar or something. I do something, but it's just. And when they have in the companies where they have these breaks, it's like they fought for the right to have these breaks for years before. So they are really they are really into taking every minute of the break, and they're like, no, we are gonna take the whole break, like the whole 2 hours. And okay, do that if you want, but it's weird. It's just weird.
First time they ever. I came to France without knowing any language, and I started working in breakfast service in one of the hotels in the center, and they told me that you can go outside to eat. I went home and I left because I did not understand. I mean, I was like, well, it's 11 o'clock. Breakfast is over. Bye. And they were calling me like, you didn't like the staff or anything. I was like, no, I was sent home. So it's the whole concept is just But I think after all this time I get it. And to the credit to the French people, I think it's because they want to emphasize the possibility for you to go to a restaurant and have an actual meal. And since your cuisine is so advanced and supposed to be that good, which it is, although it's expensive, they try to give you the possibility for it. That's it.
Well, I think it goes with the development also of the country, because they have in Germany, in some companies they have these kind of breaks, during the day, especially when you have long days, and it's just that we didn't have those before the 30s, 40s, 50s, and when you had these workers union who fought a lot for having these I think it was 40 hours weeks, then 39, then 35, and these breaks and the holidays every year. It's something workers unions fought for.
I get that.
It's but we didn't have these before. We were like,
but all kind of rights are coming from France. All kind of modern rights after French Revolution. All kind of modern rights are coming from France.
Oh yeah.
So it's before that, I think it was just like in the US, you had your sandwich or something. You had like 15 minutes or just to eat it, or you would eat it on the job, and then you would go back into your mine or something.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Saurabh, what are you working on? I don't know your project. If you can talk about it.
Yeah, I can talk about it, no issues. So just to give you an idea, before I talk about the project, like every organism or all of us start from a single cell, and then the cell divides and divides and divides, and each cell type or each cell group type is destined to become a particular organ.
Yeah.
But there is a destiny assigned to every cell type or every cell group. And how is it determined? So when people study how these things are determined, people study about transcription factors, what she was talking about, how they are maintained, how they are regulated, how the levels in the cell is changed. And this is what defines a particular cell. Like a cell becomes a skin type, a cell becomes a liver type, a cell becomes a brain type. But this is what normally defines. The lab I'm currently in, what they are trying to do is they're trying to see the other way around. So like they want to see how a mechanical force in a cell.
Well, I know this is a big question biology currently has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how a mechanical force in a cell determines the fate of the cell, determines the destiny of the cell.
Yeah, because you guys before the cell actually turns into what it turns into, you have no idea what's it gonna be. And
No, for the organism I study, and this is what the Nobel Prize was for, like some decades back. We know exactly what the cell will become.
Oh, okay.
We know exactly, so the whole lineage of the animal is mapped, and it's a very small worm that I study in the lab, and the whole lineage is mapped. So we have the advantage of knowing what this cell will become. Since we know what this cell will become, we can now study how, if we change the force inside the cell, which comes from the actin cortex, will the fate of the cell change or not? And this is what we are trying to study at the moment. It's a bit typical question, bit hard question. We are still into we haven't approached the question like directly yet, because we are still trying to develop how to approach the question, because we are trying to develop the techniques.
Question? I don't understand what that is.
The question is that how actin cortex, which is responsible for maintaining the force on the cortex of the cell, on the outside of the cell.
Yes.
How changes in this how does this determines the fate of a cell.
Okay, I see.
So there are no generic stem cells. Every cell is determined.
No. So that's the thing. Stem cell. In C. elegans, we have the first cell, which can become any cell, but we do not really have stem cells. The organism I study, we cannot really say it is stem cell. There is a pluripotency to some extent, which means that any cell. So there are different kinds of stem cells. Like there are some which can become any kind of cell, like there's a cell and it can become a brain cell, it can become a skin cell, and this is what we have in humans in the embryonic tissues. In C. elegans, we do not have it. It's only like, okay, this cell can become either this or this, but not this or not this or not this. Wow. And the specificity arises right from the first step, like it's only one cell, and the moment it becomes two cells, we can already say like, okay, this cell will become this cell will become this. The moment it becomes four cells, we can already say, okay, now even in the four cells, like, okay, this is gonna be this is gonna be this. So like it's really, really discovered already what cell will become what, because it's a fixed number of cells in the organism. So this is the good part, that we use a model organism which is easy to study. And what the model organism, it provides us the advantage of studying, like, okay, now if we do some changes in the cortical structure, which we can do by genetic manipulations or by chemical modifications, does it change the cell fate? And this is what the big question is, but we are developing the kind of project at the moment.
So if there is a reciprocity really in between, like these cortex force and the destination of the cell, like you notice that there was a relation in between the two, because of this cell became this, and originally it has in terms of cell it has that particularity. So if we modify this, does it also works the other way around? Is that what
kind of yes? Yeah, kind of yes. Yeah, exactly. So it's not been shown in cell ligands, but it's been shown in some other things, like how the rigidity of the cell, or how the rigidity of the matrix that cell is growing on can determine the fate of the cell. So we already know that that an external force can change the fate of a cell, can change the destiny of a cell. So we want to know now this time, like how within the cell, how a force which is developing within the cell, does it have any effect on the cell fate, and if it does, in what way?
Oh my God. Okay. It is pretty specific. I thought it would be hard to get chicks with bass.
Yeah.
This is you have to have specific study to understand.
No, this is why when I'm trying to advertise myself, I don't say this. I only say this. I only say this. I do genome editing, and they're like, "What is that?" And I'm like, "I can mutate DNA."
I'm like a virus. Yeah, that's. It does sound fucking complicated. It's very specific. How much do you understand of what he does?
Very few.
Okay.
It didn't sound so complicated. It's just that
he didn't start doing it yet.
Yeah, but I mean, just talked about the basic principles. That's what I meant. The basic principles. It's not so complicated, but getting to actually doing it would be like.
I am in the middle of it. Like I was trying to do one experiment, the first experiment, which is like just to remove the eggshell out of the C. elegans, and the eggshell, just to give you an idea of the scale. The egg is 15 micron long.
Yeah.
So 15 micrometer long. So which is very, very, very small. So to remove the eggshell without destroying the embryo is a big thing. It took me 1 month to do that.
Oh my God.
Like I was doing it every day, and then I was destroying the embryo. The cells inside, they were blasting open like shit. And then I was doing it again
it's
and
like
again.
It's like peeling an egg that is that you can't even.
Yeah, I have to work on the scope, and
I always used to make jokes about this the colleagues have done some dissections and everything. I was like, no, your whole day could be ruined, and they did it by hand on fucking flies like this size. You just and then it's done.
Actually, I've done that by mistake.
Oh my God! Yeah,
you sneezed on a.
I laughed. Someone told me something, and I was on the microscope. I laughed, and all my flies.
Shit.
All of them.
Yeah.
You have the same kind of feeling, I believe, when you have some powder in front of you. It's like, and it starts to. Can you imagine that? It's like pretty.
That's awful.
So I think I have experienced the sentiment, but yeah, by laughing, that's the worst kind, because you still find it funny, but you want to stop laughing right now. I can't really imagine. Oh my God! You guys work with so tiny stuff. It's fascinating to me how you can conceptualize it, or how people did conceptualize it before the existence of a confocal machine, for example, because you couldn't see it. It's just so.
Yeah, I mean, I have a hard time.
Have you seen the picture of the first sperm? How people imagined it?
I have been taking images of the first sperm. I know.
Actually, the first sperm, it was a little human. This is how people thought.
They did not see it. Yes. They think that the sperm is a little human, and
it just grows.
There are
grows in a woman.
images. If you type, I don't know,
homunculus.
Well, it's not so stupid.
Homunculus.
If you don't know anything, yeah, you could imagine that it's like a
smaller version of you.
And it just grows.
It's so weird.
It's legit.
No, it is legit. It's just
don't know anything about it.
I would have never thought of conceptualizing a sperm in a form, because I've seen.
No, you have to see the picture. There are like some pictures available on the internet, and they are very, very funny. Like you can type homunculus maybe.
How do you write that?
HUMUNCULUS.
Homunculus.
We can do this if everything. No, okay. We could do it like this. I could just show what we're looking at. Humongous? No.
No, homunculus is sperm. Try this, or maybe.
Okay.
HOMONCULUS.
Wait a second.
No, not that.
No,
None
it's
of
not
them.
that. This is
No.
for the parts of senses in the brain.
So H, maybe I'm writing it wrong.
You have to write a sperm.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, sperm. All right. Let's take a look at that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there.
Yeah.
One of them, like on this. No, right next to it. Yeah. No, before. Yeah. There.
A tiny person inside the sperm is drawn by
Yeah,
Nicholas
it looks
Hudson.
like a mandragora root or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of that. Yes.
So I think it's like you have a this is how biology works. You have a question, so you have a hypothesis. You see what tools you have. You try to answer it. This answer might give you something that can help you advance the technology. So then with this technology, you apply new questions, and it's a give and take.
Well, I think the last understandable question that you can ask, understandable to our level, is like at the age of 6, because it's like I can't imagine either of you going like, yeah, I want to know whether if you change the cortex of a cell, that's not how kids. This is not why you get into biology.
When my mom actually got me that microscope, the first thing that I did was went outside, find an ant, kill it, and set it under the microscope, and I was so excited.
One of the first things I did was behead a cockroach and see how long does it take to die. It does not die.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah. What?
So cockroaches, they have a segmented neural system that they have many brains. Let's put it this way: they don't have a central nervous system. So even if you cut their brain, they can live as long as they don't starve. If they are not starving, they can live for a normal life.
Whoa!
But they starve because their head.
Well, they don't see much.
Yeah, they don't eat because the head is the mouth, and they starve and then they die. But if you just cut a head cleanly of a cockroach, they will not die.
Oh my God! Well,
they will run. They will keep running, and everything will be like
those things will survive us, man. That's for sure. Whatever happens,
cockroaches will survive a nuclear war.
Oh yeah, I know. It's mind blowing.
I had this microscope also when I was younger. I was interested in that kind of things.
And then you became a drummer.
Yeah, my parents they offered me like some I don't know, encyclopedias and stuff like that. Some of them were like digital. We had these on the computer, and it would explain how, I don't know, the conception of babies and stuff like that. A lot of diverse things like nuclear fission and fusion, and what was the difference and stuff like that.
Yes.
I was looking at that when I was 10 or something.
Oh my God.
It was Larousse,
I had it as well.
Yeah, it was Larousse who did that, and it's an editor of encyclopedias in France. And so I had these and monocular and binocular for looking at small stuff. And at some point, I don't know where it went, but it went somewhere and it didn't come back.
Come back.
It's interesting when you're a kid and I don't know if you're a kid and your parents, they have a garden. At some point, you're going to look at the ground and see what's there and just... I don't know. It's something. I think we are naturally curious about what's happening. Things we can't see.
No, but it's also a part of the job. I also believe that, like, okay, there are things that I cannot do, like what you are doing. I am so shy and talking about normally. Like
really?
No. I'm not shy in talking. Like I am a pretty outgoing person, but I am shy in front of a camera, or I am shy and I cannot do what you're doing. There's no way.
What am I doing in your estimation? Because I don't think we're thinking about the same thing.
No, like this? Inviting people and talking to them about their things.
I'm interested in conversations, and you guys have a lot of stuff to talk about that I don't have any access to otherwise. Yeah, and I want people to talk about it who actually know what the fuck they're talking about. So if I want to talk about, I don't know, how society arranges themselves, I will ask somebody who's into politics and everything and who works in it, because I don't know anything about it.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I like to work on bench. That's my thing. And this is what you like, to have conversations.
I'm good with communication.
It's like different expertise and different things what we want to do. And
the camera part, you just get used to it.
I don't even see the thing. So.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like there's like different expertise, and like it's also part of the job. Like I am, like it's not okay. I definitely agree. I'm very curious about science and life and nature and things like this, and this is why I'm there. Like you're curious about conversations and knowing more and more people and bringing like more conversations to people around. And
well, the sharing part is secondary to me. I want to learn, and if we can turn this into something that helps other people or spreads information that I deem valuable, then all the better. But I honestly don't care. What I want to know is that like. You guys all had the possibility to have your high-end studies. I didn't. It's just I come from a poor country, from a poor family, from a situation where I think I would have had the capacity to go further, but I didn't. So this is my way of getting my university education. Those people who are the best at what they do, I invite them, and for the price of, I don't know, a bottle of Coke and some drinks, you will talk about what I'm really interested in. It's awesome. So yeah. That's pretty much it. It took me 15 years to figure it out, because it's very hard to say what you want to do, especially if you have this. How should I say this? Have you ever heard of the Big Five personality trait test? It's based on statistical analysis. It gives you a list of 5 personality traits broken up into two subcategories. One of them is, creativity, if you want. Creative people who are very easily going from box to box in their mind and have this kind of overlapping thinking. Now I'm such a high percentile that I don't fit anywhere really, which is a problematic proposition, because if you want to work, I'm very easily bored. I know I have the capacity, but I hate doing stuff that's reoccurring. So I'm 33, and I realized it last year that I want to be a musician and everything, but music doesn't exist anymore. So as a consequence, I looked for something else. And this I like doing this because there's not really a question where I can't tell you that what you're doing is wrong, because what the hell do I know about it? It's like, yeah, that's a stupid research to do. That whether it influences, that's not what biology is. Who would I be to tell you anything like that? First of all, because I'm not competent, but also because it's your expertise and you have chosen it for a reason, and that's what I'm interested in. It's fascinating to me that you guys do this, because it's so outside of anything I know. So yeah. And if we are there now, I would have never guessed in my entire life that I will be getting particularly interested in India. But I met Archit through these guys.
Sure.
And I think of him as a very good friend. He's not from the same area as you, though. I researched you.
Okay,
I'm very interested in how you see your country's situation and where you are from, and how. So anything you can tell me about this is again.
This is what I tell people, because
where are you from, first of all?
Well, I'm from Rajasthan. It's northwest part of India, but my father moved a lot, and after that I moved a lot. So I have lived from north to south of India, like in different cities, and that's what I was saying before. Like, I have never lived in a city for more than 3 years. The only 2 cities I have lived for 3 years is Paris.
Okay.
And Jaipur, where I did my graduation from. I have never lived in a city for more than 3 years, or even more than 2 years. There are only 2 exceptions to that. So imagine how many times I have moved.
You must have, first of all, kind of friends everywhere, and second of all, either you have very good skills of getting friends, or you're alone all the time.
Well, as a kid, I was extremely shy, and then it changed after a while, and now I can talk to anybody. I can talk to a random person walking on the street, and like without offending anybody, and I can talk to literally anybody at the moment. But coming back to India is like, and this is what I keep telling Europeans and the West world, because a lot of people have their own misconceptions. India is India is this.
It's so
India
far.
Is this. No, not only that, because if you meet me, and if you meet somebody else from a different part of India, they will be totally different, because
Absolutely.
India is a melting pot. We have 18 different recognized languages, and when I say recognized languages, I mean even the alphabets are not same. So like English and French, you write the same way, like the alphabet.
It's Latin letters.
Yeah,
sure.
It's Latin letters, exactly. In India, even the script is different. 18 languages recognized by the constitution, but there are 3,000 more which are not recognized, because they are like small populations, subgroups which are speaking that. So it's not only the languages;
even communication must be a problem then.
Yes and no, because we learn to coexist. We have been, as I said, it's a melting point. Like I live from north to south, and I have lived in the state where Archit is from. I did my master from there.
All right.
So I was there for 2.5 years. Then I was in south for a long time, where I was in Bangalore, and I was going to this tropical rainforest and everything. Like for every weekend, I was in tropical rainforest hiking with friends who are conservationists. In my state, which is like if I cross the small hills, which are one of the oldest hills in the world, on the other side is the desert, and my state is very, very dry. But if I go north from my state, there are Himalayas, and then it's like snowing and really cold and minus 20 degrees. You have so much different weather. You have so much different food. Food is different. Like from north to south, the food is so different. Amazing all the time. It's different, like really, really different. And of course, we have our own, how do I say, own differences. Like a South Indian will say to a North Indian, okay, you are from Delhi. Like anybody from North India is from Delhi. Anybody from South India, for North Indians, like from Chennai, from Madras. And these are stereotypes which exist in India too. And like this is like all the funny situations you can have. But so many different things again. So India started as the Indus Valley civilization. Then we had many different civilizations coming to us and attacking us. But sometimes they will come to attack us, but not go back. They will stay there, and they became a part of India.
And that's the weirdest thing if you think about it. It's not only I'm going to conquer you, you're gonna speak my language, and you're gonna do like I do. Now that's weird.
But in a way, it made us what we are at the moment, because it made us so vivid. Like it's so different. Like people say, okay, the food in India is coming from I don't know how many different places. Like sometimes I'm talking to Turkish people and I'm like, oh, this exists in India too. Like in Turkey, the word is like the Turkish word for spices is Bharat, which is the official name of India.
Okay.
And this is because the spice root, all the spices were coming from India, and they started calling all the spices Bharat. But Bharat is literally the official name of India.
All right.
So, this is India was like a melting point where all the civilizations mixed. So it's very, very hard for me to define India. But if I talk about the current situation, I'm a bit towards, how do I say, I'm a kind of person who believes in freedom, and who has I lean a little bit towards left. So I'm not very happy with when religion comes into picture. Any kind of religion. I don't give a shit about my own religion, which I was born in. Now I'm an atheist. I don't give a shit about Christianity or any other religion. Like really, literally no other religion, because for me it's just a sort of power. It's politics. It's a kind of politics. The best thing that you can do is being humans, and this is it. And in India, sometimes you really get to see that people are so different from each other. Like there's Christianity, there's Jainism, there's Sikhism, there's Hinduism, there's Islam, there's all sorts of religion there, and we coexist as one country. So of all the bad things that are in India, and there are a lot, I would not deny them.
Well, you don't have to go very far anywhere to find bad things.
Exactly, there are a lot. But for me, the best thing and this is one thing I really like about India, that of all the diversity we are still one country. At the end of the day, we still recognize each other as Indians. Okay, of course, when we are inside there, we, again, as I said before, like you're North Indian, I'm South Indian, and I should not say this, but I can recognize where people are from just knowing their full names.
Of course, but you can say that. That's not a bad skill to have.
It's like it's in the name. Everything is in the name. Like I think Shakespeare said it. What's in the name? And I say no. Everything is there in the name. You can get a lot about a person just from their name.
Sure.
Like I can really recognize religion, region, and the language they are speaking just from the name.
Not bad. Not bad. It's well, I think some of it exists here also, but since France or Europe,
it's
for
way
that matter,
smaller, and the population is smaller.
My state is as big as France. My state, the state I come from, is as big as France. Just to give you an idea, like
I'm not surprised.
How diverse India is, like really.
How often do you go back?
Normally once in a year. So
family.
My parents sometimes visit me here. My sister lives in Paris, so
it's awesome.
Yeah, so it's okay. And then again, I'm living in France for 6 years, and Before that, I was in Germany for a while, in UK and many other places. So I haven't been to one country in one stretch for 6 years in a long time. So I'm kind of okay at the moment. I start feeling like, okay, I'm belonging somewhere. Because even in India, I moved so much, like so much that I lived in, I think, Maharashtra, Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Karnataka. These are the places where I have lived in. So 4 different states.
Oh, I thought you were rapping. Sounds so weird. It's very good.
Cities I will not count here, but 4 different states in India, and from north to south.
It's that must be a very diverse experience. 'Cause among my friends, amazing. I'm the one who moved the most, but you are so far off for anything.
No, my friends call me scientific hippie.
Are you?
Yeah, kind of. But this is what I'm trying to change now. I didn't mind it for a long time. But after a while, you want to be at one place, grow some roots there, and
I know.
Yeah, belong somewhere. You know.
30s, my 30s gave me that. I know there's some kind of a change. I think it's not for nothing that we say very often that a man starts at 30, and I understand the calmness that comes with it, and also you start growing roots if you didn't have them before. So I mean, this is the experience I had, and we will see it in a couple of months.
You're going to India?
Sorry,
are you going to India sometime?
I would love to. It's just I'm afraid to go into any country where I can't read and I can't properly speak the language without anybody who's a guide. Because if you actually want to experience the life there as it is, it's not through the touristic way.
No.
So first,
that's really great. This is what I keep telling people: don't go to see Taj Mahal in India.
No, it's great, but you can see photos of it online, so it's not that...
Taj Mahal is really amazing. Like
it is.
I was there last year with a lot of French people. It's really, really amazing. But the city... Okay, I should not say it if people from Agra are watching. but I don't like the city where it is. Like, it's horrible.
You don't have to.
And you can be in India at places where nobody goes. Like, how do I say? The hidden treasures. And you can be really outside of the touristic area where people will not bug you and get to see the real India there. And... not go to Delhi or Jaipur or Agra, which is really the touristy triangle in India, and you can really go to amazing places like where barely people go, and you go there and you see like what real India is.
It starts to grow on me, not just the idea, but also planning to go there. Because
I can give you some of my contacts. Like last year, 2 of my friends went there, and I gave her contacts in south of India. And these are my friends who are like who have done their PhDs on elephants, let's say wild elephants, or alligators, or wild plants, because or like they are very small insects which grow in fig flowers. So they worked on them, so they had to go into the forest and collect like really different type of fig flowers and things like this. And these are conservationists or ecologists and things like this, and the kind of access they have to India and the way they think about India. And that's where real India lies for me. Like, as I said, like, but I am biased because I had my own circles and everybody is biased.
I'm asking your personal opinion, so I'm not asking for a clear objective. I'm not any scientific about it.
No, I'm just saying like, okay, everybody is like has their own opinion, and of course, this is my opinion.
Well, yours is way more founded in actually experiences than mine, so that's why I'm interested in it. Do you ever plan to go back? I mean, to finish
this is for me very tough because, as I said, like I do not know where I belong. To be very, very frank, I really do not know where I belong. I lived in Germany and I started liking that country. Then I was in UK for a while, which I did not like so much again. But still,
me neither, to be honest.
Yeah. Then I was in Paris and I liked Paris very much. Although there are certain aspects of it which I did not like, but again, it's everywhere. Everywhere it can be the same. For a while, I thought of going to US because US is like for what you have for UK, like Greeks are going to UK. For us Indians, US is a big hub. We get jobs easily there. We have a big brain drain. Like US really, really welcomes Indians when they come there. And for us, one of the
because you're very educated and the cheap workforce probably, and your English is already good, so there's not a lot of hassle with people like you.
Yeah, and the education is like what they're asking for. Like almost like, I think you can Google it. Like 15% of NASA staff is Indians.
Oh my God!
So things like this.
50% is Chinese.
I wouldn't go there.
It's the biggest melting pot.
I think they were more reluctant with Chinese people than with Indian people.
Especially at Harvard, as far as I heard. I don't know if you guys have heard about this. Yeah, there was a negative discrimination against Asian people, which meant that if they wanted to get in, since they started dominating the applicants so much, that because of their higher test scores and higher SATs, they would have dominated the students. The numbers in students. They started putting higher standards against Asians, and when it came out, it was a big scandal out of it. I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure it's not applied today, but it's
the thing. To go to the UK for a master's, the Europeans had higher standards than people that were coming from outside Europe, but that's because they had to pay much more money.
Mm-hmm.
So my fees were £7,000.
Whoa,
that's substantial.
International fees are like 21,000.
Well,
so
yes, sure.
That means that they lower the standards because at the end they want money.
Well, and also those people who can actually afford it from outside are probably the higher class of people from where they come from, which inherently would mean in bigger numbers that they probably had money to educate their children. Yeah. So it's already a selection that has been made for them. That's how I would imagine it.
Let's say I had to give again English exams for Europeans.
TOEFL.
Yeah.
Or IELTS. IELTS, okay.
For Europeans, you have to had above 6.5 out of 9. And for people outside Europe, it was 5.
Okay. Wow.
They just cared about, I don't know, try to communicate. Yeah.
It's your field is so competitive. It's like
no, it wasn't. Doesn't have to do with the field. It had to do with the university.
Yeah.
Well, that too, to be honest. I mean.
And from China, there were most of the students were into business, at least in Glasgow.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense to me, basically. Yeah. Makes real sense to me.
Sarah, do you reconnect with people from where you are? From here, you look for a community from people like you, or
you can ask Alexia. You will rarely see me with other Indians. But I do not have any such sort of, like, as I said, because I lived in so many different places, even within India.
So you don't have any.
Yeah. So when I was living in India, like I was in Gujarat, they were not speaking the same language that was at home. Then I was in Maharashtra, of course, not the same language. Karnataka, definitely not the same language. So I do not have this. So if I like people, I can. If I like, it's all for me. It's all like, if I like somebody, they do not have to be Indian or French or Greek. They just have to be somebody who I like, and this is it. This is all what I connect on, and then of course, I cook for everybody and I make everybody fond of Indian food, and then we connect for sure.
I would love to try that.
So how many Indian languages do you speak?
I can understand a lot of them, but I don't speak a lot of them. So I speak Hindi very fluently. Of course, this is what people speak at my home. But there are 2 dialects which at my place they speak. So my grandfathers from my mother's side, they used to speak a dialect called Dhundari, which I understand very well. And if I'm in between people who are speaking it, after a while I can speak it, but I cannot speak directly like this. Then on my father's side, it was another dialect which is Marwari, and then I understand this too. But then I lived in different parts of the same state, so I picked up many different dialects. But then I understand Punjabi, because I studied Punjabi in school, so I understand this is a totally different language. I understand, and for a long time I could read parts of it too. Now not so much. Been a long time. I can understand Marathi quite well. Bengali, Marathi. These are 2 different languages. Gujarati. So 3 languages I can understand quite well. Gujarati I can read as well. And then there are dialects, but yes.
Oh my God. That's fascinating. It's just...
No, but I don't speak any European language.
You're already speaking. How many languages do I speak? 1. and the rest is just a wretched combination of the stuff.
I'm not speaking them. I only understand them. It's very tough. I cannot speak Marathi or Bengali. I understand it. Punjabi, yes, I can speak. Again, if I'm in between people, I can speak it because I lived there for a while. But dialects for sure I can speak. If I'm between people, among the people who are speaking this dialect, all I have to do is like, okay, I stay there with them like for 4 or 5 hours, and then I can start.
And how many different alphabets there are?
Yeah, that would be tough. Every language has different number of alphabets because they are different. Like the sounds are different, the letters are different. So every language has a different number.
Oh,
yeah, because here, we have in the EU, for example, we have the Greek one, and we have like the Latin one, ours,
and the Cyrillic.
The Slavic one.
Yeah, the Cyrillic letters, and that's it.
Yeah, Cyrillic letters. It comes more. It's not really in European. It came to Europe from the Russians, but originally it doesn't. It's not.
Yeah, but it's still only 3 types.
Not one that's.
I mean, currently, what we consider to be Europe has been infected so much.
But it's from the Soviet.
Of course, the Soviet. Sure.
But and even pushing as far as Russia, we have like 3 of them, maybe 4. But then it's just in India they have like
already the fact that you guys can read
at least 18 different kind of letters. Because Punjabi has different, I know Hindi is different, Malayalam is different, Telugu is different, Tamil is different. So
I would love to get in contact with somebody who is competent in those languages, like a linguist, understanding and being able to answer.
I have some friends.
I would love to talk to them about this because in Europe we had this movement throughout between 1600 and 1800 maybe. Each country at their own time has taken the effort to start simplifying their language and start reunifying it, and it's still ongoing, but I think with the exception of the French, and you can actually pretty well tell it because it's a shit language to write, because it has nothing to do with how you pronounce it. And
yes,
I'm happy that I'm pretty good. My French is pretty good, especially in the writing, because it would be a nightmare.
But it's a nightmare to learn because it makes very little sense.
So specific sometimes.
Yes,
and so specific for no reason.
For no reason.
It's
just historical.
That's how we write it. So it's get fucked.
But that's the thing in Greece, not many people know that in between the modern Greek and the ancient Greek, we had something in between that was spoken after. It wasn't even spoken, it was only writing, it was the official writing.
Mm-hmm.
And at some point people thought, this is stupid, it's only for writing, we don't speak it anymore. So we don't have it anymore.
Huh. And you just kicked it out of the culture.
It's not like we kicked it out. It was like now writing in ancient Greek, I could barely understand.
But why would you? I mean, how much do you get in contact with it? None. Especially here.
Ancient Greek?
Yeah. I'm wrong.
6 years of courses in.
No, okay, but I mean,
in the outside world, in Greece itself, like outside, how much do you get in contact with it? It's like Sanskrit for me. I don't get in.
It's like Latin here. It's that language.
But we had to learn it during high school.
Do you see any advantages to having learned it?
Yes. It has a mathematical structure that helps.
Mathematical?
Structure.
No, I understood it, but it's just language based on mathematics?
Yes.
How?
I seriously can't.
No, it's not a problem. It's not your field. It's just I've never heard of this. And this.
Yes.
No, they say
what?
They say the same for Sanskrit.
Really?
Yeah, people say the same for Sanskrit. Yeah. So I can imagine what you're talking about.
It's the logic that you have to have in order to understand ancient Greek. We used to study syntaxes. I don't know if it.
I understand this because French has syntax. Well, English also has a couple of syntaxes.
Yes, but it is based so much like maths. You have to have the math logic to really understand it.
Wow. Okay.
So.
Okay. All right. Well, I will do my research on that, and we will come back to this.
It's funny because I just thought about in the end, in Europe, we have the same alphabet, like mostly the Latin one, just because of the Roman Empire. No, in Europe.
Oh no, in Europe, yeah.
Because of the Roman Empire, but probably if there was no empire at that moment, we would have probably some different, as many dialects and
well, you have the same number of dialects, I think, appropriated to this amount of space.
When you look at what it was before the Roman Empire, we had like runes and things like that.
Oh yeah, we had this ancient Hungarian.
So you take a way bigger region and a lot of different people. And
what I meant, but we had this cultural movement actually that was targeted specifically to simplify the languages for outsiders to learn, which only France didn't go through. And you can actually tell, because it's complicated to learn even at from the very beginning. I disagree with you, by the way, with the thing that you said that English is the easiest language. It's the easiest language to start with, but it gets very complicated when you want to go in a higher level. That's all I'm saying.
I understand, but for me, I had to learn. I had to choose a second language. And my mom was like, okay, it's either German or French. I hated how the German sounded. I was like, it's fine, I will learn French. And then I couldn't understand. I mean, the verbs that you use the most are the hardest to know.
That's why, because you have a hard time phasing them out to switch it out. You won't. It's just impossible because everybody uses them all the time.
My parents spent so much money for me to learn French, so now I can just go to the grocery shop, and that's to put it kindly.
You're using it somewhere.
Actually, for my
the grocery store is important.
For my final level of French, I don't know what's the equivalence. It's like not the proficiency, the advanced. It's kind of the advanced level in English. Mm-hmm. I had to write, and my exams was an essay about women's position into the society.
Okay.
I was 16 years old, and I could write. And then I never, after my exams, I never listened to French. I didn't have contact. I didn't saw French movies. I didn't have music. So all this knowledge, I seriously think it's gone out the window.
It's sitting somewhere down deep. You could
bring it back.
Yeah, when you think about it, like I recently met a girl, and she was she studied she did a master in. It wasn't just language in university. It was for Japanese, but it was for the like Japanese studies, like the language, culture, political environment, and history. And
isn't it called letter? Isn't it called letter?
No. It was
like a skill.
Yeah, it was really a general. Thing.
That's what I mean. But maybe I'm okay. And
no, because letter in France, it's more it's more the language part, and you learn the language and the how subtle it is and everything.
Okay,
but it was crazy to. It's a whole universe every time because and they have like significations for the letters and stuff, and everything is connected, and it's like wow. But in the end, when you look at when you look at I don't know Korean, the signs aren't the same, or Russian, and every time you learn the language, you can learn it like in our level of English, let's say, where you can communicate and stuff, but the real connections in between the language and the culture and how it's supposed to, because you have that's how you said it. There are rules when you want to talk English, and like real English. When you look at like the most well-known great American writers and things like that, and how they write and the rules that are there, it's real. When you want to speak the real English, and you discover some rules, and every time it's a whole universe and a way of thinking that's embedded in the language. Like.
It's a very good point.
And I thought about that because she said to me like she was not the same when she spoke Japanese and when she spoke French, for example.
So you would understand why he's bringing this up in one of the very first podcasts. I came up with the propositions. I speak French, Hungarian, and English. By far, I think my English is the best currently because that's what I'm using the most. But and I am persuaded. To my experience, I'm a different person when I speak in a different language. My sense of humor is different. The way I express myself is the level of aggressivity or the level of sociability is different. And we were debating this. So him coming back to that is a reflection of my theory.
Yeah, and I think in the end it really depends on.
Yeah,
in the end I think it depends on the level of the language you're speaking. Like, if you really understand deeply the language you're speaking, and so you can relate to all the implications of the words you're saying and what they really implies in the culture of the country, then you may be a different person.
I agree to that too.
It's really a matter of the language, the level of the language you're speaking. If your level is just about communicating randomly and having let's say randomly. A random conversation, just average. Then you might not be different. But if you really start to understand the connection in between the words and the culture and everything, then you might be different.
To my experience, this is the case. But you're the first person who confirms me this. Also, to be honest, everybody I talked to, they were like this.
Too.
You really?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
When I'm speaking in Hindi, I'm quite different person.
How do you change?
Well, I'm a bit more. Well, even in English, I'm very casual. But English is like kind of my almost like second, but first language, as well as I speak both fluently Hindi and English. But I'm speaking English since I was a kid. But in Hindi, it's more personal. Like if in Hindi, if you say something to me, I relate to anybody who speaks Hindi just because they are speaking Hindi, because it somehow touches me at a level where any other language wouldn't touch me.
I understand completely.
So Hindi is just like, if you say something bad to me in Hindi, you can say, I don't know, so much bullshit to me in English, and I will smile and I will not give a shit. The moment somebody says something to me in Hindi, I will still do the same, but it will hit me.
Yeah, I know. Now this is something that I experience profoundly in French.
Yeah. This is why people don't understand. I can curse in English very easily. I have a very hard time
cursing in Greek, right? Yeah, same thing. I can curse in English very easily.
I can curse in English and in French, but I guess I'm more prone to curse in English.
Trust me, you should ask our researcher in the lab. He's every time, Alexia, please mind your language.
Because I can curse in French and English very easily, no issues.
French is awesome.
Because I cannot work without puta merde. Like I am working, something goes wrong, and I'm like puta merde. Not directed to anybody, just just out there in the air, or like fuck.
I'm so sorry. It's just you have such an Indian accent on French. Yeah. It's caressing my ears. It's very nice.
But it's like
charming.
I can say fuck or puta merde. Like I'm like this just goes out in the air, not directed to anybody. But I will not say that in Hindi. Like in Hindi, it hits me if anybody says anything bad. Like even though I don't react to it, but still it hits me. Like I'm like ting 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 ting. There's a part of the brain which starts ringing, which never rings when it's French or English. And English I'm speaking like, I don't know. I'm mostly speaking English all the time.
When did you start learning it?
Oh, I started learning English before I started learning Hindi. Writing. I started
writing,
speaking for sure Hindi, but writing I started because my father was in a different state, and I could not start to learn writing Hindi because what they were teaching there was Gujarati, a different language, English. Okay. So I learned Gujarati, how to write and read and things, and I learned English at the same time. Hindi I learned like later, and they had to put me 1 year back. Like when I moved to a different state, if I was supposed to go in a upper kindergarten, they put me back in a lower kindergarten because I did not have the same level of Hindi like other kids. So I had to but I started. So writing
That's
English.
crazy. No?
Writing English. I learned before I started writing Hindi. Of course, speaking at my home. I
could do 10 podcasts just about you and make it interesting because it's kind of a problem.
You should bring Karchito.
I think. I would love to. It was kind of a bad idea to bring both of you at the same time. I'm very happy to have met you, but
same here.
Both of you are just way too interesting, and I have to ask somebody, and the other person is just getting bored at the same time, which is annoying but there's so many.
I like listening to opinions, and I like in simple general listening to.
Well, this level of intelligence and information, and next time we will cut in half because this is just too much. But it's okay. Another thing then. Let's make it personal. I know you won't be able to talk about this publicly. How do you find then relationship situations in Europe compared to where you are from?
All my relationships have been in Europe or US.
Okay.
I had one Indian girlfriend and this is it. All my relationships have been in Europe or US.
You're the least racist person probably that I've ever met.
Like my most recent ex was. I'm not talking about short-term relationships, but my most recent ex was French.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, it was. She was. So, like, I was talking about the relation. No, it means relationship.
I know.
The relationship. It was a relationship, and so she was from India. That's the only one from India. And before that, she was a German. No, in between, I had an American. So in Strasbourg, I dated an American. In Paris, I dated a French. Before German, Canadian, American, like English, but I've never. It's only one girl who was Indian.
So, do you consider their nationality and the source of culture when? As I said, when you choose?
I connect to people. I cannot. This is very tough for me to see like, oh, she's Spanish, or oh, she's French, oh, she's English. Okay, for sometimes yes, English, because they can understand me much better immediately. But once you're in science, you meet people from all nationalities who can speak English.
Uh-huh.
All I have to do is connect to people. Like
they're just people. They are not from some.
Exactly. That's all matters to me. Like, okay, if I connect to somebody, like the girl from Paris, I connected to her on our love for animations. I love animations, and she loved animations, and we started talking about it. And then we started talking about politics, and I love intense conversations. Like, I love people who can go get into debates, or
Mm-hmm.
who can talk about many different things.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started talking about politics, and then we realized we have the same ideas, but more than the same idea thing. I was happy that I'm talking to somebody, and then she was interested about knowing about India, so I can tell her about India. Like, a lot of people don't give a shit about what is happening in India, and I cannot talk about it.
It's too far for us.
Yeah,
we don't understand what's happening in Paris from Strasbourg. So why would
for sure? But she was like I connected to her on many different levels.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same for the girl who was American. Now she's back in Colombia. She's a medical student, and I was dating her, and it was exactly the same. Like, if I can talk to people, all matters. That matters to me is the connection. If I can establish a connection, okay, it does not matter where they are from. So, and again, for this way, I'm the least last person you should talk to, because I have only dated in Europe.
Exactly the opposite, to be honest, because you're just proving my point that I've been saying for like a decade, that one of the biggest problems with people who don't travel is that you don't see that people are exactly the same everywhere.
I say this to people all the time. Thank you. I say this to people all the time. Like, they're like, but Indians are like this. I'm like, at the core, all of them are same. Like, everybody likes to talk. Everybody likes to bitch. Everybody likes to gossip. Everybody likes to connect. Everybody likes to eat.
Now that's something I understand. I agree with. The rest is, well, not
connect. Maybe not.
Connect.
Rest.
That's the one thing that I see everywhere. Everybody wants to connect.
Yeah.
Maybe on different levels, but everybody wants to connect. And we are different in pigment type or genetic proneness to genetic diseases. Food is different. Music is different.
Thing is,
clothes.
there are no races.
I love the food everywhere. Like, okay, until unless you're serving me like how do I say, which I was eating in Portugal, which was very intense seafood. I forgot the name, but indeed, even for seafood, I almost like everything. Like initially, when I came to France, I hated moule. Moule, how do you say?
Yeah, moule.
Mussels.
Like you have grains.
Yeah, you have to pull them out, and now I don't care. I like them. I can eat them, but if I'm eating them twice in a year, yes, I like them. If I have to eat them every day, no, still no. But like, I love the diversity. Like, you go somewhere, of course, you try something different. That's the whole idea.
It's a source of richness.
Yeah, but there are no racist people around that table. That's the thing. So.
Around what this table?
Around.
I am racist for in a lot of ways, but especially when I choose women, for example, I am. It's not conscious.
You like a Scandinavian woman?
Yeah, but you can't really say that people are the same everywhere.
No.
In the end, when they are human.
No, but my physical attraction is selecting.
Physical attraction is just preference. It's not being racist.
But it's prone to race. So how else would you call it? It's not nationality.
But so what is it? Racist. She was Latin woman.
Well, let's say that. No, I don't want to say it because now this is too personal. I don't think it's public info. Yeah. But there are some like now that this is something I can easily say that we don't have any in either direction, and this is why I have such a good time with Alexia, for example, because it's easy for either of us to be friends with the other because there's nothing in that regard. Not because of her or anything. It's just the way it is. For some reason or other.
That's preference. I wouldn't say that's racist.
I didn't choose him. I would love to be attracted to her.
Yeah, but I mean, being racist is more like, okay, that race is better than that one. You don't say that. You just say, I prefer dating women from that ethnicity. You know, it's not really being racist. It's just preference. It's like I like tall girls or I like small girls.
Yeah, I'm tallest also.
Yeah, but just to give you an idea, like even in India, like the people differ so much in their how they look. Okay? Mm-hmm. So if you are if you're in extreme north, like if you're in how do I say, Himachal Pradesh or things like this, girls will be like really really white, or not only girls, like everybody will be really white. But since I'm into girls, I was saying girls. But yeah, like people will be really white and same complexion as Alexia basically. Not the hair type,
I'm not a typical Greek person.
No, but like you guys, like really really white. Not the hair type. Hairs will still be black. Uh-huh. But if you are in certain regions of Maharashtra, the eyes can be really light, like even green or like really light brown. If you are in Tamil Nadu, mostly people will be dark complexion with really dark hair and like really dark skin, dark eyes. But then there are certain people in Tamil Nadu who might have like really fair skin and again blue eyes. Like one of the famous examples is Aishwarya. They are rare, but they exist. If you are in northeast of India, they will look like what in Europe people call Asians, like Chinese, Koreans, or things like this. Mm-hmm. But if you go to if you are towards Haryana or Punjab, these are people who are like normally taller than the rest of Indians, like a lot taller. They are like people like from Netherlands, like really really tall. But Netherlands people are like really skinny. People from these states, Haryana and Punjab, they are tall and muscular. Like this is their build. They don't go to gym for it or they don't do anything special for it. This is how they are.
It's a genetic proneness.
Yeah, diversity is so much that I cannot say like, oh, I like Indian girls. This for me is like, this is why I to some certain extent I agree with him. Like it's just that you have a preference, you have a certain kind of preference. Like this is what you like, and this is I think it's just a preference. For me, this is not racism.
Well, that's
until unless you specify to some you go to some girl and you say like, oh my God, you are brown and that's why I don't like you.
No,
then it's racism.
No, but no, I don't dislike her, but there are certain body features that come with a certain genetic pool that I wouldn't sleep with if that was my only option to survive.
I totally agree, but this is what I'm trying to say. Like
you're not assigning a value.
I am. Value. I wouldn't sleep with it. I wouldn't.
Yes, but it's
further my genes with that. That's
you're
the
not
ultimate
assigning a human value.
Yeah.
As a person. Well,
I'm not saying she's shit because of it, but I certainly do not mix with her. So, yeah.
No, you wouldn't mix with her, but it's just preference. It's just...
Okay, well, all right. I find it it is the ultimate discrimination as far as I'm concerned. I'm not trying to.
Yeah, this I kind of agree to a certain extent, but again, is like this is what is casteism is like. People are like, okay, we are in India, we have casteism, and like people are like, let's say two castes. I will not name anything, A and B caste, and the reason they are two different castes and they have been existed for thousands of years is two reasons. They don't dine together, they don't marry together. This is why the caste exists. So the moment you start having sex with each other or eating each other's food, that's when the cultures mix.
Okay.
And in a way, it's a way of segregation, basically, or how people are different and they remain different. So to a certain extent, I agree that if the best way to mix two cultures is to have sex. Is to breed. No, I know this is what happened. This is what has happened. Look at any different culture. The moment they start merging, like, and this is what ancient kingdoms were doing. When they wanted a pact, they were sending daughters and sons to each other. Like, okay, they were marrying each other, and this was one of the best ways to sign a pact.
Yeah, it's like kings in Europe. You know, you wouldn't want to seal a political alliance. You would marry your kids
exactly,
together.
but not only at a bigger level like kings. Every small tribe, if they were fighting and they wanted peace, marrying each other. That was one of the best ways to merge cultures, and this has happened, and this. To me, I realize that this is one of the things that does not happen between two different castes in India, and this is they remain like, okay, I'm from there. Like, if that happens, this is a big deal, and this is what happens when two cultures mix. The reason they won't mix is this: that they will not sleep with each other, they will not eat with each other. Two big major things.
But in the end,
and you don't think that's racism
on my end? A partner, no. You choose a partner. What's important is the connection, and that's
there's none.
The least.
I've just told you.
That's the when you say, okay, what I need is a connection. That's the least racist thing you could say when you choose a partner, and that's like when you said, but on a physical level also. I mean, if that's not happening, what's gonna happen is what happens between me and her is we have a great time together, and then everybody goes to their own bedroom.
Isn't that great? You should also have that, because
sure.
I think
there's a lot to be learned.
That would be very weird. Like, okay, I see any girl and I'm like, oh, I want to sleep with you. Oh, I want to sleep with you. Yeah. That's weird. Like, of course, you have your own preferences that you are attracted to some in a different way, and you are attracted to some in a different way. Like, some you are comfortable sharing all your things, but on a friendship level. And for me, that's really, really great. Like, amazing.
Especially because there's a lot of shit that women fascinate me more than men. Men, I understand these more easily, being one of them, but there's so many things that I've learned from the way of women process situations and problems. It's very beneficial.
Then you need to teach me, because I still don't understand how women process.
You should. I'm not going to get into this because it's a long conversation. I will be happy to share what I have learned. First mistake that I see men make is that we try to make sense of it. That this is not how those function. sense of it. You try to make it. Try to put it on a logical pedestal, and this is not how it's necessarily have to be.
Yeah, that's what you learn with age. Turning around 30. If you're lucky, that's what you understand. It's like It's like, I don't know if you ever met a person that's mad, really mad or crazy, or that has a psychological problem. It happened a lot in the bars. Yeah. In the bars, where you would have to have interactions with people. They would not be irrational, and that's what you understand. It's like it's pointless to. You want to put them in a rational bubble so you could comprehend the information. It's pointless.
It doesn't work.
It's pointless. It's just. You receive the information, okay, that makes no sense, and how that person functions, so I can, pull some levers and ropes and make things work, but you can't really try to rationalize someone who has a completely different logic as yours.
I really respect that, what he just said. It's really amazing, what you just said.
It's not for nothing that I wanted him to be part of this. There's a lot to offer.
Yeah, sometimes there is someone and there is a problematic situation, and the person is not, as I said, it's not rational anyways. So the best way to solve the situation, if you don't want to, I don't know, beat the guy, is just what's his logic and how he works, and then you pull the right levers. It's like, these kids plays, like you have star holes or square shaped holes, triangles, and you have to put the round one in the round hole and the star one in the star shaped hole. And it's exactly the same with people. You have to find out what's the shape and the hole, and then you just turn it at the right angle and then it fits. It's the same.
Okay.
It's just the same.
I could agree with that.
And with women,
do we still have time? You guys feel comfortable? If you wanna drink anything, air, something? I think you're starting to get tired. I'm leaving you out. It's horrible.
It's nice because I can again. It's not very often that I'm around only guys. So
that's what's happening with me.
The thing is, like, every time I've been with these two guys and Archie twice. It's like fascinating. Like this woman who was going to the jungle, it was like studying
monkeys. It's fine.
It was so fascinating because like I can see the logic behind the man.
Because there is one. That's the thing. We have
there is one. Yeah, I always thought that.
So what's more? Do you guys want anything to drink? We can have a couple of minutes of pause. We can wrap this up if you want. I don't want to.
We can have a couple of minutes, and then I have to leave around 9:30.
All right. Okay.
I will have to leave around 9 as well.
I live right next to Cathedral.
Awesome.
No hush here. So
okay. Okay. Well, nobody answered for the drinks. So to finish my thought, So you have beers in the fridge. You want beers?
No, I will probably take some more Coke.
No, I'm good.
The only reason I'm not taking a beer right now is because I want to go and write some things at home. So.
That doesn't necessarily help. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, to answer you,
but yeah, we should definitely take some beer sometime. I live very close.
Yeah, well,
far,
should. It could be easily arranged. Well, to finish off my thought, that's the first major.
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Sorry, I did not ask you.
No, it's fine. I don't like Coke.
Coke, anybody?
No, thank you. I have a source of noise though that I don't like. Yeah, I'm not the only one with this, but where does it come from?
Oh.
Yeah, here, Buzz.
One of your microphones is gonna be the. Sorry, take care of that. This one, maybe that one. Good. Yeah. Better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the first mistake I see men make very often, because I think very often in our upbringing we are encouraged to push to negate or push down emotions as much as possible. It's like it doesn't hurt, you don't cry, and stuff like this.
Sure, yeah.
So we have a harder time understanding or functioning on that level, or making a success story of emotional states that could fit a narrative of somebody who's not necessarily guiding their lives through the same kind of thought process we more often do. So yeah, that's why it's. I would say it in a, if I wanted to shorten this down, I would say the reason why we don't understand women so many times is because we are looking for an understanding instead of looking to connect with the feeling side of it. If you feel to it, then you would say that it makes sense because this happened and this happened and this happened, and to what event, what kind of emotional reaction comes out, and then it starts making sense. But if you try to consciously process this, those people I had a hard time understanding, they don't, so it makes no sense.
It's not only that, at least for me, at the same time I overthink a lot, which means at the same time I run multiple scenarios in my head.
Everybody does that.
So, butterfly effect in the head. But
but the thing is, like, if you ask me for the same thing in a distance of 5 minutes, I can have a very different
Thank you.
very different response to that.
Yeah,
I think everybody does that.
Yeah, you're being too harsh on yourself. Everybody has that.
And that's the other thing. He's very right. I think most people I meet, the source of their misery is that they are too harsh on themselves. They are more harsh of themselves than with anybody else around them, because they consider their thoughts to be just as much of a part of themselves as their actions. And yesterday I talked to one of my best friends, one of the longest friends I had, and he was like, I'm a bad person for having these thoughts. And I was like, no. You wouldn't consider anybody else to be a bad person for having bad thoughts. What you consider is the action, doing something bad. But I think everybody has bad thoughts, and if you don't, then it's a weakness rather than a
either
virtue.
you shouldn't consider your thoughts in to know if you're a bad person or not, or then you have to consider that other people have the same kind of thoughts as you do.
So don't worry about that.
Maybe.
We have bad thoughts too. We want to keep.
If you had any idea, I think that's why. That's also why I'm a bit. Every single time, we are in the generation where our friends start to get families, and when they get little girls, it's like, you are never going to sleep as a father anymore. Because we guys understand what guys never.
On the contrary, I would really love to have 2 girls.
I'm sure you. I'm not saying it's bad, but it has.
I totally understand. I totally understand. But this is
side.
So I was talking about it to a friend, and she has 2 boys, and she was like, "Why would you want girls in the today's scenario? Do you think the girls will be happy?" And I'm like, "No, I'm going to teach them how to pull the balls out of any guy."
Exactly.
Yeah, they will live their life the way they want to. But I still want to have 2 girls. Like this is one of the things that I don't think about the family.
Why 2?
I don't know. It's very weird, but it's kind of
it's
like
a good question, though.
It's very, very weird, and it's like if I'll tell about why, it will sound like a cliche, but I dreamt about it. So, so yeah, like it's one of my most beautiful dreams.
There we go
like,
with the feeling side. But
It's
your Disney princess. I saw a fox and a deer.
That's the thing. Like I at some point of time, I don't know when, but yeah, I would like to have 2 girls. This will be amazing.
Twins?
This I did not think about it, but in my
And she starts to complicate everything right away.
Pulling off 2 girls, you know.
since you asked, in my dream, one was little, one was small, so
Okay.
cannot be twins.
Okay, it's fine.
Or they could be sick. Well,
And that is sick.
twin little girls
That is
is
really
really
sick.
I have a sixth sense of humor.
Twin little girls sounds like hell. I mean, 2 girls already sounds like a lot of pressure, but twins, they have the kind of connections, you know, that can make them really little demons.
Also, we are both artists. Who the fuck could afford 2 girls at the same time?
3. You have to include your wife inside.
She's gonna have to participate in the income some way, because I already have problems on my own. So let's talk.
That's true. We usually don't count the
I think
partner in life in the equation, but that's a third one. But a friend of mine recently, his wife, he has a boy, and his wife broke her leg, and we were like, yeah, are you okay? I mean, it's like he has a business, you know, so he works a lot. So he was like, yeah, that's a lot of work. And now I have 2 kids at home, except that one of them tells me every time what I have to do. And that's really so like, yeah.
that's.
Nice.
Can you imagine that?
I'd rather not.
Yeah.
I'm sweating
That's
by
why
hearing the story.
I don't want kids, but
You always come up with the most fascinating stories.
Yeah, when it's a kid, it's fine, but a kid that knows better than you all the time.
That you still want to sleep with.
I think at some point you stop wanting to sleep with the...
Or you stop looking at it as a kid.
Yeah,
I think that's the healthier choice.
Yeah. Otherwise, there is a problem somewhere. I mean, some.
Yeah, I am sick, so
No, it's great. It's cool. It's really
I like, and I know I can make her laugh, which is something
I'm
profoundly
not
enjoy.
going to my dark side of humor because I have a very dark humor.
Oh, you should.
You should. I would appreciate it anyway. And
It's punk points.
I tried first time I joined a PhD, I left after 2 years. Then second time again something happened and left after 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I tell people is like the first time I left my boss. the second time my boss left me. What actually happened is the second time my boss died.
Oh. Hey, left everyone. That's the ultimate leaving. Yeah.
Nice.
Now, I would say that he left.
Yeah.
If he committed suicide, that would be
No, it was an accident.
Yeah. Could have been a better story though. So shame on him.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about Anthony Jeselnik?
Not really, no.
His new stuff are out.
Just yesterday, it's a stand-up comedian that I profoundly like, and he goes out on stage having asked himself the question, what is the most horrible shit I can say? Yeah. It's fascinating to me. I laughed my ass off yesterday coming back on the plane because I realized that he was on the Joe Rogan podcast, so a 2-hour conversation with him, and also he mentions in the first minute that his special came out, the new one, after like 3 years or something, maybe even more. And it's just so dark, and I think you would appreciate it if you like this kind of humor.
If you like rapists, did baby jokes, and the combination.
That baby jokes, okay, rapist I have issues with, but that baby jokes and everything else. But yeah, rapist I have big issues with because the situation of women in India was not so great, and
no, not only about women. Don't worry, it's Jeselnik.
Yeah,
it goes through the whole spectrum.
I'm just saying it, but yeah. So like the way I grew up, like my mom was like, so like when I grew up, it was never like my sister has to do all the women chores, or like I learned to cook, I learned to clean. Yeah. I was ironing my clothes. My sister does not, like now she knows how to cook well, but it's still not as good as me. And like at my home, the gender rules were not fixed. Yeah. And I'm very, very, very happy that I grew up like this, because I would be very, very sad. And I can still say, like, in parts of my brain, I'm still a bit sexist, because I grew up in a society which I don't want to be, but I am. Yeah. But I grew up in a society which is very, very, very sexist.
In Greece, it's just like that.
So this is why I don't like rapist jokes or things like this. Yeah.
There's a saying in Greece that say that mothers in Greece grow up the children that they will never want to marry as husbands.
Exactly.
It's horrible.
Same in India. But this is why to a certain extent, I'm very happy that the kind of upbringing I see with my mom and with my dad, both of them, they tried to be least biased as they can be. Even when somebody was from outside, the family was coming and saying like, oh, she should do this and he should do this and this like this. Yeah. We were not agreeing to them, and they were telling us very clearly we don't give a shit about them.
Yeah.
And which is very rare in India, extremely, extremely rare. Like the gender roles are very fixed. Even if you are studying a lot, a girl, they will be like, okay, you need to learn how to cook. My sister never went through that. And I learned to cook because I wanted to cook. I love cooking.
Sounds like your family is a very educated group of people. Or coming from a class who understands.
They changed. This is the thing. Change is the only constant. My father comes from a family which had a very backward kind of thinking. My mother comes from a family which is like, my mother's parents, they were not educated at all, but they were businessmen. But my mother's parents, they had, my grandfather passed away, but my grandmother is still there. They have the most modern mindset I can think of. Even to the people who are educated, I talk to them and they were not ready to listen. They are not ready to think towards argument. My mother's parents, they were amazing. Like they were ready to change. They came from a place where my mother's mother, she had to keep she had to cover her face. But when her daughter-in-laws came to the family, they had all the freedom they could have. That's the thing. And they adapted. They understood what is change. They understood how it should be, and maybe some things were wrong and it should not be there. And this was not there on my father's side, but my father turned out to be different in his family. And for me, it was perfect, because then I had two really great parents. So for me, this is one of the best things that has happened to me. And nobody gets to choose their parents, but if I can, I will choose them again and again and again, no matter what. Just because when you are a teenager and when you are growing up, you will think like,
there's a rebellion.
Yeah, of course, there's always a rebellion. But when you grow up and you realize, oh my God, this is what they did. This is why I think like this, because I grew up like this. If every single step of time, like when I want to do something, they are like, okay, you do what you think you want to do. nothing is imposed on you, and that.
Yeah, you strike me as somebody. Again, I don't know you, but you strike me as somebody who had a more balanced childhood than some of us. You have a lot of resemblance to what I see in Arthur, for example, knowing that his parents are still together, and it's a unity that I rarely see, and where I come from. Well, my father was never around, and I don't think yours was either, because we exhibit more examples of having missed very early on those patterns and
I saw my shit, but not from parents. Like I saw no, I'm just saying, like, yeah, but I can totally understand what you're trying to say. Yeah,
it's we start with a certain handicap compared to those people who have these patterns, even if these examples are, for example, bad, because I saw that too, that father was around, but I'm not sure that he should have, but even in that case, you have something to relate to.
Well, it depends. I think it depends on how you are, if it becomes a handicap or a strength. Because having, like, this perfect parental cell around you, it can be it can bring some kind of pressure also.
I don't think pressure is necessarily bad, though. Or I don't see it how
when you are constructing yourself, and when you are constantly comparing yourself to your parents and say, okay, am I doing as well as them, or am I wrong or something? Sometimes it's not healthy, because you start making choices not depending on.
No, I don't see that as unhealthy. I see it unhealthy when you have the biological programmation that you would have to make your father proud of you, but he's not around. That's a bigger problem than to solve how to, if the parent is unable.
I'm not saying having like a good parental cell is a problem. I'm saying that it, depending on how you evolve with it. It can be a strength.
Both of you have your own points. Like both of you, like, I totally agree with you, and I kind of agree with you more. But I agree, like, how you evolve is very important.
Maybe I don't see what you're talking about, because I didn't experience it at all. I don't know what is it like in a family where father figure is present in an everyday basis.
It's not just about the father figure. It's how you can look up to your parents or not. If your parents are like if they can stay at their, for me, the parents' position is something very special. It's not a friend. It's not something. It's not God. But they have a very special position when they did things right. And it's,
you certainly have a lot of respect towards your father, your parents,
and it's about that. And it's like I never walked in on my parents having sex or something. Something that's just changes that makes them a little more human.
Okay.
They're not humans. They're my parents. And that's something very special. Yeah. And I think I managed my relationship with that image pretty well. But I know some people, and they are like all the time referring to their parents as they're like their parents are a reference, but in a bad way. They are constantly diminishing themselves, or despising themselves for not making the same choices, or not having the same achievements at that moment in their lives, or it's
it can be a problematic situation. I see why.
It's a reference. Your parents are a reference, and you can take it's. That's why I said it depends on how you are in general, because it's like everything. Sometimes you can see things as a challenge or as a reference, and sometimes, depending on how you are, you can see that as a way to belittle yourself. Like I don't know. I see a video and there is a drummer and he's amazingly good. I can. There are two ways I can think. Okay, I want to be able to play that or that way, or I'm like, I'm not worth shit.
I will never get there.
No, so, and it's the same with your parents sometimes. Well, of course.
But I would still say that you and me, we cannot understand the absence of a father figure. So at least true. Okay, not for you, I will speak for myself. Like, I will not understand that feeling. So I will not even argue what you are saying. Like,
not a lot of feelings. I can explain it to you, because consciously you will understand it. It's just you don't know how to act in certain situations because you never saw a man acting ever, like in situations like that. Like women were a problem for me for a very long time because I never saw a man behaving around women. And the same way of functioning we have among guys is rarely very attractive to women in the first sight, you know. So it's like, or it could be, but so it's missing. It's just missing out on a couple of key solutions to situations.
With women, it's not your father. It's not a man.
Oh,
it's your
is.
Father.
No, it is. It's under the age of 3. You don't remember, but it is.
Yeah, probably. Maybe then, but
how they argue, how they physically connect. Whether they hug each other, whether you see themselves expressing in any emotion among themselves is something that taints you for life, and it's way before you can consciously remember any of it.
Yeah, but the thing is, like, at least for me, I mean, my parents got divorced when I was, I don't even remember, 6, 7, but my father was always there. He was there for birthdays, New Year's, Easter celebrations, Sunday dinners. My father goes now with every Sunday to eat with my mom because we are family, just a bit different. It's like I see them just like they were very good in the beginning, then they couldn't figure it out, so they separated, and now they're even thinking of like going back together. They want to go to the island.
Maybe you were the problem.
Maybe I was.
you were.
Yes, blame yourself. Blame yourself for lying.
I know. I have a friend. I told you about. I know a friend. Well, a guy I know. His parents. They are married and everything, and they lived for. I think it's 40 years now. They are married. They don't even live in the same city. They have. They're like intellectuals and stuff, but they like to have. They have 2 different houses. They live in different cities. Sometimes they meet for lunch or casually, you know. But they're like, and they are happily married for 40 years. That way, it's. That's
the thing. I called my parents last week, and my father. I saw my mom. She was pissed about it, and I'm like, "What's wrong?" It's like, it's your mother. Don't you know her? She wants to be in control of everything. I'm like, okay, then go for lunch next time. I'm like, what am I going to do on Sunday? We're going on Sunday for lunch. That's the thing. In our society, we can afford to have different types of partnership. If it works, like see the other person once a week or once a month.
Yeah, now we have these freedoms, so we can handle our relationships the way we want without being too much,
I think it's easier to be healthy now than it ever was in our society. Yeah, that's for sure. One other thing I wanted to ask, since you guys have access to at least 2 different cultures that I don't see into almost at all. I have this theory about language being the fundamental predictor of a fashion of thinking. Let's say, if you look at Germany, for example, standing up from a total devastation, social and economical devastation in the 20th century, like they did it twice, again rising to the top from absolutely nothing. And you look at the fashion, how they work, for example, which I see as something very organized and very meticulous and disciplined. And if you take a look at their language, which is very much streamlined as much as possible, except for the articles, the whole thing is very logical and easy to explain, and very little exceptions and stuff like this. Whereas if you look at France, for example, the French language is bordelique, I would say. I don't have to translate that. And their fashion of existence, as far as I can tell, as a consequence, not a big predictor, but it's still a correct predictor of it, is more artistic, is more like... it's less disciplined, that I would definitely say.
Yes, definitely less disciplined.
Less boxy, less anything. It's like a lot of emotions and a lot of how do you think
everything's on the table?
And if you guys both agree with me that speaking another language changes, even if it's slightly, the behavior of personality, then I would like you to tell me, knowing the language is the mother tongue that you speak, what do you think your language and thus as a culture would excel at? that we don't see into that necessarily.
You mean like the French language being, for example, more better to express?
Well, the French I understand. Or I think it's an insanely good language to be artistic at. Playing around with the language is easier than any other language I've ever seen. Saying that I don't speak that many, but rap in French.
Oh my God, it's horrible.
No, it's not.
Oh, trust me, it's horrible. For someone who's just listening to, I can tolerate rap in English. In French, it's borderline funny.
I
should. What you don't see.
I give you some tunes.
What would be your second word? I was like,
I give you some tunes to listen to because I know that I think it's because your knowledge in terms of rap in French is.
And I don't mind you saying that. We are musicians, though. I have a diploma that says that I know what I'm talking about, and I'm just now this is the arrogant shit side of me. But what I'm saying, what you don't see because you don't speak French that very well, is that they use the language in a way that I don't think any other language that I've ever seen functioning could be possible. They are splitting in order to fit the music or fit the narrative. They can play around with the language barrier so well that it's hard to understand, but it's very amusing to look at. That's why I mean it's a way of artistic thinking to throw out the rules in order to produce something better. Now I think the French language is genuinely better for that, but it's not for nothing that it's a stereotype that you don't want a French mechanician if you have a German around, because you don't want it because that when it's something disciplined, fixed in a very particular and meticulous way, that's not the French language. It's like it's a very artistic based language in my estimation.
I don't think it's artistically based. I think it's just not so based on anything. It may be easier to to use it in an artistic context, but it's just that either we don't have enough rules or we have way too many rules.
Okay, let's say that
in the end there are no rules, and you can do whatever you want with it.
I would say that French language is a good presuppositor or suppositor for breaking barriers. As a consequence, I see French people easier breaking barriers than any other language that I understand or
in terms of poetry,
in terms of anything.
That way Hindi is very, very diverse. Yeah, we have like I don't know how many dialects of Hindi. I cannot count, and I do not know, but I have studied a few. Like there's Maithili, there's Bihari. Like I don't know how many different kinds of dialects are there in Hindi. Mm-hmm. And when it comes to artistic way of expressing it, you can break it, you can sing it, you can do anything with it. Indeed, one of the most beautiful things that came out of Hindi and Persian, basically, because when Persians came to India, and then Hindi and Persian mixed a little bit, and a new language came out of it, which is called Urdu, which is spoken like Hindi but written like Persian. Mm-hmm. And it's supremely artistic. Like listening to Urdu poetry, oh my goodness, they're amazing. Like really, really amazing. Mm-hmm. Same way, listening to something in Maithili, like listening to a story in Maithili. Maithili is a language which is spoken in how do I say it? Like central north of India or something like this. And my goodness, again, like it's amazing. It's really, really artistic. It changes the Hindi I speak at home. Now it's so mixed that it has no particular artistic touch to it. But Maithili is like, when you listen to somebody in Maithili, you are like, oh my God, okay. It's something like this. It puts the guard down immediately. And so that way I would, and living in France for last 6 years, even though I don't speak French, but I've heard it like quite plenty. And I agree that what you were saying, but I wouldn't agree like, okay, this is one of the only languages which is so easy to go around with, but
I see it. What I know.
Yeah, you see it more often because you are here for sure.
No, it's not what I meant. The only language that I came across, so none of the Indian languages, for example, because I can't read it or I've never been exposed to it. That's one of the things. So I have a very narrow basis to pick from. And then the second way, it allows the bending of the rules in a way that I haven't come across another language that would allow that and would deem it enjoyable or fine.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like Hindi is so diverse that it has, like, if you talk, I'm not talking about syntax Hindi, like the Hindi language as per se. If you just talk about Hindi and its dialects together, Hindi is so fluid, so diverse that almost there are no rules. You can make it the way you want to make it. And that's that makes it like
it's hard to comprehend for me because I think we would have to study it just a bit, to understand. It's because it's like science fiction when they talk about notions that are of spaces that are so vast or length so long in terms of years. It's when you say that, it's really hard to comprehend how it could be, in terms
especially because the logic is different behind.
Yeah, just to give you an idea, like almost 30% of Indians speak Hindi, and that's the maximum that any language is spoken in India. This is why people think that we all speak Hindi, but this is not true at all. Like, there are people in India who don't speak Hindi at all. Like, when I go to South and I'm talking to somebody, taxi driver or rickshaw driver, no way. I will speak in broken English to him because he will speak in broken English to me, and we will communicate or I will speak some words of this particular language, or we will speak with our hands. Yeah. But there are a lot of instances where they do not speak a single word of Hindi, but still 30% of Indians is speaking Hindi. It's already a big thing, but not all of them speak the same Hindi. And that's the thing. That's the thing I was trying to say. Like, that's the thing I'm trying to say. Like, we have so many dialects of Hindi. So many dialects of Hindi. Like, and every Hindi is like, when you can totally recognize, oh, this one is just Hindi. This one, like, I was in the lab before in Paris, and there was another Indian guy there in the same lab, and the Hindi he was speaking, I picked up some words because I was working with him all the time. And then I went back home, and my mom was like, do you have somebody from Bihar around you? And I was like, yes. She was like, yeah, you are speaking like, you are mixing a lot of Bihari words in your Hindi now, in your language.
Even on my French, it's heard that I learned it here. It's, people who are not from the area can tell. You are saying shit that only Alsatian people say. All right, okay. Well,
but not as a dialect. It's just words, In French, the dialects or the dialects are kind of not so strong. I mean, not so radically different than what he talks about.
No, not really radically, but people see it.
It's just
people
words
hear it
everyone knows, but we use them more here or here, But the words exist in
No, it's not like they don't understand me, but the fashion, how I construct phrases. For example, last time this chick I talked to you about, who I had the date with, she told me that I can hear it. That's typical Alsatian to say, but I hear it all the time. So how could I say I'm not bothered by it, but I understand where it comes from. So what I meant. For example, I think it's not for nothing that the French culture has provided us with people like Picasso, who was known to break as many rules as he could have understood and mastered.
He was Spanish.
Vinci was born
living in
but he
Paris.
Came to France
living
too.
in Paris, but he lived in.
Yeah, but
he was born and raised in Spain.
But you realize that a lot of artists
afterwards.
were from around Europe, but they all ended up in France. Like Vinci also ended up in France. A lot of artists. It's not only true for one. This I agree. Like, France is the kind of place where people blossom their art, if I can say it, because a lot of artists. This I agree. This is not. This
is how I meant the question. Yeah, it's like when I see Indian people in my, I generalize and homogenize a whole group of people that. Now I know I shouldn't, but as far as I can tell, in certain parts of academia, and especially on medicine, you guys must be, for some reason, very good.
Or engineering.
But I wonder how you see this.
I think for Indians is the pressure from the parents.
Yeah, this is true. So so two things come out of any middle class society in India, and all they want is their kids to be either doctors or engineers, because this is an escape from the routine life what they can have.
Oh.
And so because the moment they become engineers or doctors, that means they go to a higher part of the society. No matter where they were before, the moment they become doctors and engineers, and especially if you are engineers, you can easily go to US or Singapore, or it's your easy ticket to go out of the country and then get a lot of money and then get to a good position, then when you're back to India, the same company will give you a better position or things like this.
And it's expected that you will be back in India.
A lot of times, most of the times, yeah.
Okay.
Because we like a lot of times, and this happens with everybody, not only Indians. Like we like something in a certain way, and you can only get there in their own country. And kind of, I would have loved if it was with me too. And this is why I don't belong anywhere, because I do not have that. I would really love that somewhere, like, okay, I can go. But anyways, so
You can make that happen. Well, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. Anyhow, like people want their kids to be either doctors or engineers, and this is their escape. Like, they don't ask them, hey, do you want to be an artist? Because if you say I want to be an artist, parents will be angry at their kids, like, no, you cannot do that, because
you don't have to be Indian for that.
Yeah.
Kurt Vonnegut had this, he's one of my favorite writers, and he had this famous citation saying, if you really want to hurt your parents and offend them, but you don't have the audacity to announce that you are gay, you can definitely just tell them that you're going to be an artist. And I find it to be horribly funny, because I live in Europe and I come from a relatively poor list, but it's still Europe. It has nothing to do with the level of poverty other places have on this planet. And still their first reaction was like, there's gonna be very little money in that, so that's a life of struggle.
When I first told my mom I initially wanted to be a fashion designer. When I told her that, she's like, no.
But fashion designer, if you do good, you can get a really lot of money. Like,
Yeah.
But
and in science, we do not have a lot of money. We have passion, a lot of passion, but,
but
not so much
it's
money. Like in academia, in industry, yes.
there are even fewer positions than PIs.
Yeah, that's for sure. Like,
You see this though. I disagree with you. You see this though because you are looking upwards financially. Being a fashion designer is just like being an artist. It's a high risk, high reward investment.
Yeah.
Very big. Very many people try their best and never succeed.
Sure.
And those little, exponentially they go up. In academia,
my sister is an interface designer. I have a little bit idea about it, but the thing is that she did engineering first, and then like she was telling me a lot of times that she hates it. Like, she was good at it. She was really top of her class, but she hated it. And I was so sad, because when my parents asked, like when we discussed, when my sister was graduating from high school, and we were like, what we should do and where she should go, and she was talking to me too, and I was like, and she was confused where she should go, and I was also saying like, okay, go for the engineering. I was in biology, and I was like, okay, go for the engineering. And she was telling me for 4 years of her life, like, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. And when she finished engineering, I was like, okay. I realized one thing when we were kids, and I realized that she loved to design things, and I came back to her and I was like, okay, these are some schools, do you want to try for these? And she was like, yes, maybe I would love to. And she just started trying things, doodling on the sketch paper and things like this. Yeah. And now she's the interface design for a software company in Paris, and she loves what she does. It's not even a job for her anymore.
No, but the thing is that I had a very good hand. My arts professor, she was really amazed. She was like, keep bringing me stuff. I used to love to draw with coal. It was my favorite. And
but
you think
my question to you would be like, do you like what you do right now in your life?
I do.
Yeah. So, because if a job is just a job for you,
no, it's not.
Then
but it's not satisfactory all the time. That's what I see.
This I agree, but
even if I was going into fashion design, it wouldn't be satisfactory.
No, not at all. That's the thing.
I don't think that's true.
No job is all the time. 100%.
I don't think that's true. Whatever achievement you would have, continuing what you do and doing it beside as a hobby would be an achievement, and you would just look at it as a hobby, and thus the pressure of having to arrive to a certain success point would be eliminated of it, and you just get the joy. So I would do that.
This I kind of don't agree. I agree to a part of it. Like if you like something that you do, it's not a job anymore. So you.
No, I mean, you already have. She already has her job beside it. So entering fashion design, you shouldn't do that with the idea of making it your first priority, because
then I agree. Totally agree.
But then it means that whatever free time you have, instead of overthinking shit like you just said, you could use your brain power to do that, and it's just the joy what you will get back from it, because you don't have to get anywhere with it.
But you just gave me an idea. Like, so I have two of my friends. They do you know what Psi Illustrate is? Psi Illustrate. So they are scientists. They did their PhD, they did postdocs, and they realized they hate working on the bench, but they love. So one of them is Radhika something, and she realized that when we are in biology, we see a lot of designs, like mitochondria has its own design and things like this. So she started putting these on skateboards, on T-shirts, on different things.
Okay.
Now she has her own company where she sells designs,
That's
and I can introduce you to her on LinkedIn.
That's
So,
nice.
and then they have another friend. What she's doing is she started kind of science outreach. She just takes cartoons out of science and she makes them very, very simple. And she makes children books, but cartoon stories of biology in children books. Imagine that. Like, it's a kind of design, and what the first one is doing is a kind of fashion design, because she's putting biological designs on things that people use: skateboards, T-shirts, dresses.
Okay, that would be nice.
Yeah. So if you want to be a designer, this is the thing, and this is coming back to SPB
we
Carrer
have
Fair.
the opportunity to create our own jobs based on the things we like.
And this is why, again, coming back to the SPB Carrer Fair, like, people should know that PhD can really merge with anything else. You just have to know what to do with it. You just have to look beyond the lab.
It's kind of a big question.
Yeah.
So I think your initiative in getting a community together to have the conversation started is a very good idea.
All I did is raise a team, like almost.
That's pretty big.
Yeah, but all I did is raise a team. I floated the idea to the director of IGBMC, then I floated the idea to the student organization, and they supported me like immediately. But the most important thing that happened was, like, there were people who were really willing to do this. Like, now the team is great. I put forward, like, okay, this is what we want, this is how we should do it, but the team is taking care of everything. Like, it's not me who is doing the things, it's the team who is doing the things. Like, there are individual people who are doing things. Like, there's a communication team where Alexia is there, and as I said before, like, every person is doing great, and the backbone of Carrer Fair at the moment, like, every team has their own importance, but at the moment it's communication team, because this is how people will know us. And like, what people brought in was amazing, because I had no idea how to use Instagram to its fullest, or use Facebook to its fullest, or use Twitter to its fullest, and people bring in with them their own sort of expertise.
I know. That's that's one thing that I think I'm also good at, is that I know that I don't have a lot of competence. I know how to pick those people who have the competence and have them gathered in a community, and not to caress my own butt or anything, but it is a skill that very few people have, mounting a team. If you are doing it right, then they do the work for you, but they were already there, and there was no assembly.
We do the work together. Nobody works for me. We
work for. I've seen Saurabh at the lab and on the weekends just working for the career for his.
It's like we work for the event. Mm-hmm. We are all part of the team. We work for the event. Indeed, like, there's no head in the event. Mm-hmm. They are all organizers. Mm-hmm. We are all working for one event. Like, there are different teams. I design the whole event. Mm-hmm. I bring in, like, how the event should look like, how the advertisement should look like. So I'm kind of an architect. Then she is the communication team. Then we have editors in the team who are, like, really whatever is coming to us, they're editing all the English out of it, they are streamlining it. Then we have two photographers, one of which again is me, and then another photographer.
Mm-hmm. We have Rosia, that is also a photographer, is writing, and the blogger,
and she's blog writing.
She writes amazing
blogs, like, and we sort of put our team in a very funny way, because we call our team Dumbledore's Army.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's because of this guy here.
No, because it should not all war. It should be like, it should be fun, and there should be a real sense of belonging somewhere, and people can connect to something.
Yeah. Now this is nice. This is what I would say that I learned from people who are more from the Indian culture than here. Sense of community. Without the notion necessarily of church or God or stuff like that.
Exactly. And if you look in the team, Greek, Indian, Italian, Spanish, and French, if I can say Catalan.
Yeah, but all of them with high education and with
but
a lot of
different people, like really different people.
That's when it's good.
Yeah,
that's why I have a problem with racist people, because that's where the good is coming from. It's when you mix.
Emulation.
Yeah.
Like as I said, like Rocio is writing amazing blogs. She looks at our team meetings, she brings something, she thinks about it, and she adds to her own philosophy into it, and she brings forward these amazing blogs. Like they're like 2-minute reads, but every time I read a new blog, I'm like, whoa, okay, amazing. I'm super happy about it. But then we have people who are checking all the, like, we have to book things, like we have to do the administrative work. There are people who are going to the administrative work to see, like, okay, how much this would cost, can we book the auditorium on this date, can we do this. Then we have a team manager, Dimitra, like we need somebody to take care of all the different teams, like, okay, if everything is coming to one place or not. And this person is like, everybody is so amazing, and I'm not running after anybody. So if saying that they work for me is really not right, because I work for the event as we all actually. Yeah. So we, like, there's really a team manager, and I'm not the team manager. So I design the event, I bring forward my ideas, like this is how it should look like, this is what we should do. But definitely, it's not my event; it's the team event. And
all right, then.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to avoid this. It sounded to me like, in some regard, you would devaluate your position because you wouldn't be able to do what the individual members are doing, and I just don't think that would be a wise idea, because all I was saying is just like, you did something that they wouldn't either and they couldn't have before, so it's
I bring the team. This is all I do.
That's a lot. Very few people
put forward an idea. The people like the idea. I was able to assemble a team, and we were able to assign ourselves our own roles. I'd never said to anybody like, okay, you should do this or you should do this. I opened the table and I said to everybody like, okay, put your skills on the table, and we decide what we want to do.
I would go back to what you have said, and then we will wrap this up, because I think you guys will have to go. I would go back to what you have said at the beginning, though, is that you wouldn't be able to do what I do. But this is exactly what I do. Exactly. I find people. I talk to them because I'm interested in people in general. But it's just organizing these people together, and then just let them see where they go. That's all. And it's a whole lot of fun for me, because I learn something new every conversation, almost every day. And it's an entrepreneurial way. So it's very hard to box it in, which also means it's very hard to monetize. But at the same time, it never gets boring, which is what I was looking for. So
I totally agree.
So that's what I do, and I think you would be good at it.
Never gets boring.
No.
There's Angela for that, so that you would.
Oh, that's funny for me too, because I see them, because their lab is right across where
you're outside of those circles then.
Yeah, but no, but the lab is like just a corridor. This side is her lab. This side is the lab I work in, and
okay. Okay.
You can see that from the outside, just decomposing before.
It's just funny for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Slide ends.
Well, thank you so much for your time. Yeah. Let's wrap this up. I will again put some links in the description, so we would spread the word as much as we can.
And just to remind to people, we have our interviews every Monday, which are people that have PhDs, that have been into the academia, and then was like, that's not so much for me. Let's see what's there in the industry. Mm-hmm. Then on Wednesdays we have the blogs that it's mostly Rocio, and it's like basically what we are doing in our group. And finally we have the Present Yourself, which I still have to write at some point, which members of our team, they present themselves to the public, not as, the researcher with the lab and all day doing
appearing to be human.
Yeah, but
kind of, yes.
Yeah, we try to put some life into us, and like what are we doing when we're not in the lab? And our event
sleeping mostly and going closer to the bed or getting away from it,
or going to alcohol. This is what our last blog was about.
Good thing that you're in France. Yes. They are awesome for
and our event will be mostly
November 4 and 5.
Yes.
Event.
The Carrer Fair.
That's the idea. The idea is that besides this whole presentation, we will have a real-time event at IGBMC.
Awesome.
People from companies will be there to present what are the escape tracks for people from the academia. And so we should show to the PhD students that, if you don't like academia so much, it's fine. There are so many things that you can do outside.
We just want to present options.
Yes.
And we don't want to do it ourselves. We want people who are already there to present it.
Yes.
So we're bringing in a lot of people from industry, and we are organizing a fair where people can network each other, people can talk to industry people, and industry people can present what is there for PhDs and postdocs.
It's a great initiative.
Yes.
I wish something like this existed for musicians, but maybe I should get into academia.
The most important things, as people that I got from a recent interview, he told me the most important thing is networking. And you should not wait to network when you just decide, I don't like academia, but I want to go to the industry. Who do you know in the industry? No one. Then
exactly.
What am I going to do?
Networking is the key.
We are bringing networking to our academia.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Exactly. Everywhere. Teamwork is the key. So.
And it's funny because it's really something that lacks teaching. It's a specialty. I mean, networking. It's something.
I don't think many people have the skill to begin with.
Yeah, the skill to begin with. But even when I was in university, or I was more into financial stuff, or in the artistic field, it's not something that's easy to be taught. I mean, there are not
because again, I think very few people know actually how they do it, and even those who know how to do it maybe have a hard time putting it into words, or they don't have the time or the wish to share this.
It's really a key thing.
So but it's a key. It has key importance how you work together with others, obviously. All right. Well, I have to go to the toilet, so we will wrap this up. Yes. Thank you so much, and let's see you guys next time. I hope you're gonna come back.
Let's meet for beers.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. It's gonna be fun then.
Yeah.
Perfect.
We'll do that.
And I live close by, so I will cook.
Hello.
Yes.
Hello. Up.